Hello and welcome back to RaceRoom, where we've got a stacked grid today for the F4 at Portimao. Now, let's not beat about the bush. This race is not pretty. We're going to see some very poor standards of driving, and I'm not just laying the blame at the rest of the grid either. I'm as bad as anyone in this race, which is a shame because we've qualified reasonably well. We've put it 6th on the grid. However, pay special attention to the driver who's qualified in 11th. He's renamed himself Going to Wreck for this race, which unfortunately is a sad sign of things to come. But yeah, it's certainly not my finest hour this race. I'm not naturally an aggressive driver. I always find I'm better when I'm smooth and steady. But I'm going to lose some discipline here and make some really poor errors of judgment. But that's still to come. For now, we're going to get down to the grid and the lights are going green. And we've got away fairly well. However, I do hate being on the inside line here at Portimao. There's a massive sausage curb on the inside of T1 and it's so difficult not to clip it, especially when you get squeezed into T1 like that. We've managed to get through okay. We have lost one position. Yokohama was able to find a sweeping faster line around the outside of T1. He's moved up into 6th. We're down to 7th. Oh, and make that 8th. That was a really aggressive move up the inside. And it's given us a bit of suspension damage as well. And it's the guy who's called himself Going to Wreck. I hope that's not a sign of things to come as we have a look up the inside. Oh, he's going to take an early apex and the contact was unavoidable. Oh dear, I think that one was on me. Perhaps I shouldn't have been looking up the inside when the track's so busy. And he's now getting tangled up with Lucas Blom to my right, and there's a big wreck. The two of them have gone, and I think they might have taken half the field with them. I certainly saw George's car getting sideways in my rearview mirror, and I also saw a yellow car going with him. That was Blom. But yeah, look at the gap back to the driver in 8th now. It's more than 3 seconds to Stuart Turvey. So there must have been a huge pile-up, and it really has split this grid wide open. There's now a front 7, of which we're at the back of, and then it's the rest of the grid nearly 4 seconds behind now. And I noticed that George has DNF'd. I just hope that that big incident was nothing to do with the contact in the hairpin. I'm worried now about the possibility that he could have picked up some damage with that hit that caused him to lose control and take out so many drivers. We'll have to go back and investigate the replay shortly. I mean, I certainly wasn't out of control going into that hairpin. I was 100% confident I was going to take that inside line and get it stopped in time, but on reflection, maybe it wasn't the best idea given that it was so busy on lap 1. Let's go back and take a look. Now, this is the first incident, which at the time I felt was a little bit aggressive, but having looked at the replay, it was actually a fair pass. Now, we can't get the best view of it from this angle, so let's switch to the chopper cam. Keep your eye on that bright green Samsung car. He's pulled right alongside me and even got his nose a little bit ahead, so he's done more than enough to warrant the opportunity to make that pass up the inside, so no complaints from me there. And now we're approaching the hairpin, so I have a look up the inside, but it's just a case of running out of room. I wasn't out of control, but George, going for the early apex, needed the space that I was already in. But here's where it gets messy. These two guys just suddenly start ramming each other, and it's the second contact that causes them both to spin out, and that's what causes the massive pile-up. Let's watch it from another angle, starting with my sniff up the inside into the hairpin. There's the contact. George survives that okay, but Lucas Blom in the yellow car is going to go to his outside, and then suddenly, right there, George rams him. Now Lucas is going to hit back there, and that contact causes them both to spin, and you can see the cars behind have got nowhere to go. Multiple victims in this pile-up. But it certainly seemed like a deliberate ram rather than handling issues caused by damage. Right there, a deliberate steer to hit Lucas, and then there's the contact in retaliation. And you know what? I do wonder if Lucas Blom was the victim of mistaken identity here. Was this guy looking for revenge after that contact caused by me in the hairpin? Did he just ram the wrong guy? Whatever the reason, it's certainly not a good advert for sim racing. We'll come back to the live action a lap later, and the front 7 are really making a break for it now. You can see the gap back to Massive Bianchi in 8th is almost 7 seconds. I'm at the back of this leading pack, and I'm just struggling to keep with them at the moment, but I am enjoying watching the battle between Yokohama and Blitz. Blitz just making a fantastic move up the inside there to take 5th position, dropping Yokohama down to 6th. It looks like the leading 3 have got the pace to make a break for it. However, the battle for 4th is on, and we're in that battle. We may be at the back of the group at the moment, but as long as we stay within striking distance, we're in contention here because anything can happen in this type of race. Well, we continued the chase, and with Blitz and Yokohama battling so closely together, we were gradually able to close that gap in. However, just as we got ourselves to the position where we might have been able to pounce, we make another mistake, and it's back at the hairpin again, rejoining the live action in my cockpit now. Blitz has lost that 5th position, but he's having a look up the inside to take it back. That's going to compromise his exit. They're slow out. We see an opportunity. We get on the gas just a little bit too early, and we almost lose the rear. That's going to cost us. Yeah, a fast exit out of this hairpin would have given us a big opportunity to be right on these guys' tails, but unfortunately, we were just a bit too aggressive on the throttle. And as you can see, that rear slide was really costly. We lost all our momentum going down the straight, and we've gone from being within a second of Blitz to being more than 3 seconds behind. And at this point, I'm feeling really frustrated at myself for that mistake, and it's going to make me make an even bigger one. There's a back marker, and I completely misjudge how slowly he's going, and we just narrowly avoid a huge wreck there, but a complete disaster we have to take to the gravel, and that is going to cost us big time. We were so lucky to get the car stopped before hitting the barrier, so at least we haven't picked up any damage, but it's going to take an age to get out of this sandpit. We're bouncing our way out of it. And even though we built up a 10-second advantage over the driver behind in 8th, that has all been wiped out now, and all these cars are charging past us down the start-finish straight. We are now down to 12th place. And it might even become 13th because Zachary Wolf behind was on a charge there too, but he thought better of it. He's backed off into T1. But right now, I am furious with myself. I mean, I had plenty of notice that he was there. Look, I can see him already, but I'm still gassing it at full pelt until it's too late to readjust. I don't know what I was thinking there. Must have just been the frustrations of the mistake earlier in the lap, and I was pushing too hard. Well, it's a damage limitation job from here on in. We've still got 6 minutes of the race left, and we know we're faster than several of the guys ahead, so there are still places to be had here. We're currently in 12th, but Bianchi in 9th is only 3.5 seconds down the road, so we've got to be targeting a top 10 here. However, we can't waste any time. We're going to have to get to work quickly, and Turvey is the first person to get around. We have a look around the outside there. Not quite close enough yet, but we are gaining on Stuart Turvey, so I suspect we'll be in a position to make a move shortly. We've got to get this corner right. It's a sharp left-hander, really tricky on exit. You can easily lose the rear if you're a bit too greedy on the gas. Back down to second. We're right on Turvey's tail now. Can we get in his draft? If we can just pick up a toe, we should have the extra speed needed to make a pass onto the start-finish straight. He's going tight, so we'll go wide. We've got the speed to go around the outside. Oh, but there's a crash in front. We've got nowhere to go, and somehow we just miss it. Oh, we were so lucky there. That could have been a complete disaster. Yeah, all my attentions were on Turvey and getting that drive to go around him, but the last thing I expected was a wreck right in front of me. Somehow we just managed it. That's how close it was. Let's take another look from the onboard. We've got the drive around Turvey, but then ahead, the driver in 10th, Martin Guillaume, gets tangled up with a back marker, and that's how close we came to disaster. Five minutes still to go. We're up to 10th. Bianchi is 2.5 seconds ahead in 9th. Although that gap's going to come down now because Bianchi's out wide. He's managed to rejoin right in front of us now, but there's nothing between us. Oh, and in fact, we have to take evasive action. He's a little bit off pace as we go over the crest of the hill. We're on the outside. I think I'm going to have to back out of this one. He's not going to give us room. We can switch to the inside, maybe. Oh, but we lock up on the brakes, narrowly avoided disaster again. That would have been all my fault if there was contact there. That was an absolutely stupid decision to try and make the inside pass from that far back. I was nowhere near close enough. Well, we're right back on Bianchi's tail now. Can we get a good drive out of this uphill right-hander? We're right on his tail. He's going to move over to the right. We can switch to the left. We're going to have the inside. Have we got the drive to get alongside and tuck our noses in front? No, not quite. There's no room. We're out on the grass. And now we may even lose a position because Lucas Blom is on the inside. We're going to have to take a wide, sweeping line through here. We've held off Bloom, and now we are on the inside of Bianchi. We've got our noses ahead. Bianchi's going to have a look back up the inside as he will leave a little bit of space just in case he does, and hopefully, even though we're wide into that turn, we'll have the inside line here and we can still hold on to 9th position. Oh, it's not going to be easy though, we're still side by side. Bianchi is battling really hard to try and keep hold of this 9th position. We're just about ahead at the moment, but we're going to have to lift off the throttle to hold the inside line. I didn't want to drift out into Bianchi's path. That's going to cost us some pace. We've got Bianchi on the left with extra speed. We've got Lucas Blom behind in our draft with extra speed. We could lose 2 positions into T1 here. I think Blom's the biggest threat on the inside. We're going to have to give him some space so he doesn't hit the curb. The last thing I wanted to do was squeeze him onto that sausage curb, and we just about got away with it. And actually, we've held onto the position. I feared the worst coming down that hill into T1 there, but somehow we've managed to hold on to 9th. And even get a bit of breathing room to those 2 behind. It's 1.5 seconds. Oh, let's check out the replay. This was a foolish decision for me to try and go up the inside. It was never going to work, and we were really lucky to avoid contact there. Bianchi would have had every right to be furious with me if I'd collected him there. And I really don't know what's happening to my judgment in this race, because just a few corners later I tried this move. There was no room and I had to take to the grass to avoid contact. And now we've got Bianchi and Bloom on the inside, so we've got no choice but to take the outside line around here. And actually it ends up working in our favour because we get the inside line and finally we get in front of Bianchi. We're going to jump forward in the live action and return to the cockpit with about a minute of the race left. Now we're on the penultimate lap. We've got 1 more after this. We're in 9th place and we've opened up a 2-second gap back to Bloom in 10th. So we're pretty comfortable here, but I've got my eyes on 1 more position. Check out the driver in 8th. Francesco Abbruschetto. I thought he was too far ahead, but in the last lap we've taken 2 seconds out of that gap, and now we can see him. He is within our sights. So with 1 lap to go, we're about 2.5 seconds behind, and I think we've got the pace to catch him here. And if we do catch him, we'll probably only have 1 or 2 corners maximum to try and get the pass done. It'll be this section in a lap's time when we're on his tail, so it might be that we have to resort to using some draft and try and win a drag race on the start-finish line. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've got to catch him first. We're going to cross the line. We've got 1 lap to go here at Portimao. Can we do it? Can we get 8th position? That gap is still 2.5 seconds at the moment, but I'm expecting to see that come down. Now we reach the corners. This is where we're going to gain our time back. And actually, we've got the added jeopardy of a back marker as well. Abbruschetto is going to have to deal with getting around this lap driver, and he's done it. But it has cost him some time. Hopefully, Ross Donald, the lap driver, will be equally generous and let me by as well. We're closing in fast now. Is he going to give us some space into the hairpin? Oh, we're going to have another lock-up. Oh, it was anything but a tidy entrance into that hairpin, but fair play to Ross Donald. He gave us all the space we needed there. Great driving from Ross. But the big news now is that we're within a second of Francesco ahead, and we're going to get closer here because we're good around this section. We're getting on the gas early, not too early because it's easy to lose at the crest of the hill there. But we're close enough now to consider our moves. We're within half a second. The checkered flag is out, so we've got about 1/3 of a lap left to try and do something. We're unable to get to the outside. I was thinking about pulling the same move as we did on Bianchi, but unfortunately we've got no choice now but to go to the outside. This isn't going to be easy, but if we can try and carry some momentum wide through this corner, we'll have the inside for the next one, but we just run it out a little bit too wide. Abbruschetto slams the door shut, so now we've got 1 opportunity left, and it's going to involve slipstream. Can we get in his draft? It's absolutely crucial to get our line spot on through here. We're going to need a lot of extra speed if we're going to get by him before the checkered flag. We're right behind him now. We're picking up a big toe. And now the decision is when to go for it. We're going to go to the left, and now we're going to gun it. Can we do it? No, I don't think we did. It was so close, but we might have been a few feet short. Yeah, we moved to the outside down this hill and tried the long sweeping move. And actually, I think it would have worked had we not just run out a little bit too wide here. You can see we just get out onto the green stuff, and that's what cost us the speed that we needed to take the inside line. But then it's a drag race to the line, and that's how close it was. We miss out by 0.04 of a second. So here are the classified results, and yeah, a race to forget for me really. It was littered with mistakes. I'd like to think uncharacteristic mistakes, but I'm certainly not proud of my performance here. A couple of careless spins caused by lack of concentration, and also a couple of reckless pass attempts into that hairpin that could have been so much worse. I'll be trying to do better next time, but until then, thank you very much for watching.